You ready to do a little more of our Merry Christmas Y'all? Hey everyone, Cristin here, and we are continuing with our Merry Christmas Y'all regular pillow. So today we have a very simple block, and so I'm going to add on an even simpler block from that. So we have two today. And the first one is boot stockings. And boot stockings is very simple and has just a couple of pieces to it. So we're going to start with our main fabric that is a creamy white with tan flowers on it. And we're going to start with this one. I believe it's going to go this way actually. And we're going to start with this at 8.5 by 6.5. 8.5 by 6.5. I did back it with fusible stabilizer. I highly recommend that, especially on the main fabric. All right, 8.5 by 6.5 for our main fabric. And then we have a couple of applique pieces for the boots. So the first one, I don't remember which one is which. Oh, sorry about that. I'll have to check. I believe the first one is the red one, but I'll confirm that as we go. But anyway, the boot 1 and boot 2, they are both 3.5 by 4. I did back mine with fusible stabilizer. There's a red one with white dots on it, and then a gray one with the arrows on it. And notice it is a directional fabric, all right? So 3.5 by 4 for both of these. And like I said, I did back mine with fusible stabilizer. That part is optional. You don't have to do it on your applique pieces, but I prefer to. And then we have two pieces of gold leather for the bells. All right, so for the bells, gold leather, two pieces. And these are 1.5 by 1.5. 1.5 by 1.5. Don't back leather with anything. Leave it as is. And that's it. That's the only pieces for the boots block. Nice, simple one. And we are going to quilt this. So our final cut size is 4.5 by 6.5, so that means that we want a piece of batting that is 5 by 7. 5 by 7 for our batting, and we are going to quilt it with plant 7. Plant 7. And we are going to use this in 4 by 6 vertical design. So this is one of the ones that you got to make sure there will be a horizontal and a vertical. So make sure to choose the vertical design for this, and it's in 4 by 6 for our quilting of plant 7. All right, and then like I said, since this is a very simple block, it's a nice small one even, I'm going to add on an even simpler one than this. We have one filler block for this project, and so for the filler block, it is this green holly leaves fabric, and I did back mine with fusible stabilizer. Nice filler block. So on the directions of this, I mentioned it in our Cristin Creates group, but on the directions it has you cut to 4.5 by 2.5, and that's absolutely fine. You can cut this to 4.5 by 2.5. Or if I've caught you before you've done your cutting, I recommend cutting it to 5 by 3. And the reason for that is that it'll give it enough room that it will tack down. We can do that tack down of our main fabric. And that just makes it easier, in my opinion. It also helps for cutting. But I do back mine with fusible stabilizer, so it's not going to pull in with the stitching, and so it's not going to change the size needed anyway. If you've already done the 4.5 by 2.5, I'll show you how to do that too. It doesn't matter, but in my opinion, it makes it a tiny bit easier to quilt these when we can use the tack down from our quilting. So if you have a chance, do it at 5 by 3. And then we're going to have a piece of batting that's the same size, 5 by 3. Whether you've cut your fabric to the larger, half-inch larger size that I recommend or not, you want your batting at 5 by 3. 5 by 3 for your batting. And we will quilt this using plant 7 also in a 2 by 4 vertical. So I'm going to bring you over to the computer, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to merge these two into one hooping, what size hoop you can use, and how to orient them and all of that for those that choose to do that in one hooping. You can absolutely do these in separate hoopings. That's totally fine, but this helps save on stabilizer, save on some time. So let's go ahead and go to the computer for a second. Hey everyone, I'm at my computer now, and I'm going to open up Embellishment Essentials, And Brilliance Essentials is what I use for my embroidery software. It's super easy to use. If you're in the market for embroidery software, please use my affiliate link that I will add to the video. It helps me get a little kickback from Embrilliance for showing you how to use Embrilliance, and we've been learning it together and having fun with it. So it will open up to the last hoop that you used, which is my 6x10. That's actually perfect. So on this one, you can use a 6x10 hoop. I've already tested it out a little bit. So on Embrilliance, if you are a new owner of Embrilliance, your screen may look a little bit different. I've made mine light pink. You can change it in the Preferences tab. You can do all kinds of stuff to your version of software. So here come my dogs, just a warning. I hear them pushing open the door. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and bring in the filler block first. So I'm going to go to this Merge Stitch File button. Oh, hold on, before I do that, so like I said, it shows down here at the bottom that I'm using my 6x10 hoop. If you're on a different hoop, you would go to the Preferences folder and click on the hoop that you want out of the list, and then say OK. And then I always go to this H button on the compass right here. And it just makes sure that you're zoomed into your screen so that you can see everything on your hoop. This yellow line here, or the yellow box, represents your hoop. All right, so now Merge Stitch File right here, and then I'm going to find my quilting design. All right, and we're looking for Plant 7, and we want in 2x4 vertical for the filler block. So right there, 2x4 Plant 7 in vertical. You can see here's the horizontal one and here's the vertical one. So I'm going to double click on the vertical. It will go to the center, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on it. That has all of the 5 files, or all of the 5 steps. So the placement for the batting, the tack down for the batting, the placement for the main fabric, the tack down for the main fabric, and then the quilting design. So on this, I'm going to go ahead and turn it. I've already played around with it a little to see what fits well. So from here, I'm going to click on this button right here where it says rotate 90 degrees. And then I'm just going to click somewhere on the stitching. If I were to click here, nothing would happen. If I click on the stitching, then it makes it so that I can move it. And you can use the arrow buttons on your keyboard to move it up if you prefer, or you can use your mouse, whatever works for you. And that's all that we need for the filler block quilting. All right, that's what we're going to use for the filler block quilting. So that's the first one. That's already done. I'm actually going to move it up just a tiny bit more. You just want to make sure you can always see all the black squares, and that tells you that you're not over the hoop. If you go over the hoop, then you're going to get it over to your machine and think that you're all ready, and your machine will get mad at you and say, I can't do it, I can't do it. So just make sure that you can always see the black squares, and that'll make it so that you know you're within the hoop. All right. That's the first one. So now I'm going to go to Merge Stitch File to bring in the next design, which is that boot block that I was telling you about. But we're going to bring in the quilting first, which also is Plant 7, if I recall. Yep, Plant 7. So I'm going to click on the Plant 7 folder, and this time we're looking for a 4x6 in vertical. So I'm just going to scroll down. There it is, 4x6 Plant 7 in vertical. There's the horizontal one, and this is the vertical one. So I'm going to double click on that. It goes to the center. I'm going to leave this in the center for now. Even though it's overlapping with this, it's just so that we can center in the embroidery design. All right, because this is centered in the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to Merge Stitch File, and I'm going to bring in the boots design. So I have to find the boots design on my computer. All right, so right there is the boot stockings. Double click on that and it goes to the center of the design. And that's why I kept the quilting design in the center. So you can see if I click here on, this is number 1 here. Let me click on this. Number 1 is the quilting design for that filler block. Number 2 is the quilting design for the boots design. And then number 3 is the boots design itself. Okay. I'm just going to close these up. All right, so now you can see if I click here, that just as the boots design. If I click on both, the 2 and 3, I clicked by scrolling up from the bottom. See, then I can see that they are both centered just right. And that was the purpose of me moving it or keeping it into the center before moving it. All right, so now that I have it's centered, I'm going to go ahead and group it. I'm going to go to Edit, Group, and making sure that I have the plant 7 for number 2, excuse me, and the boot stockings both highlighted together. They're both selected so that I can group both of those. And I'm just doing this for a moment so that when I click on it and move it, I don't have to worry about making sure that I have both of these, because I do. You can see all I have to do is click on one part and I can move it wherever I want. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and actually I'm going to keep this down here. I was thinking I could turn it, but it'll make it too small. It won't make it small. It'll make it so that it won't fit. So I'm going to go ahead and keep it centered in this way. All right. So all I'm trying to do is make sure I have a little bit of room between these two boxes. These two designs. This one I only have a 1/2 inch extra space, so I'm not concerned about it. This one I'll have 2 inches of extra fabric, and so it will overlap a little bit, but it's enough that I have room, so it's fine. Or I could use a bigger hoop. I thought about using an 8x8, but this is my 6x10 hoop. It's a 6x10 design. I'm going to go ahead and just use my 6x10 hoop. All right, so that is moved to where I want them both to be. So that is all perfect. I'm going to go ahead and ungroup this now. I'll show you why. Edit, ungroup. All right, and I'm going to do something a little bit different. I did this with our cup of cheer. Actually, I did it with sweetest pie. I think it might have been with sweetest pie. Anyway, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to highlight all 3 designs, all 3, say Control C to copy, and then I'm going to click File, New Page, and I'm going to say Control V to paste, and all 3 of those designs are here. And the reason I'm going to do that is because on this first one, you can see I opened when I did New Page, it opened a new tab. So here's the first one, and here's the second one. They're both exactly the same at this point. But what I'm going to do is I want to group the quilting designs together so that I have less bringing the hoop on and off of the machine. These will be grouped together and it'll just be a lot faster. So I'm going to do that. But if I do that, you know what? I don't think I need to actually. Let's try it. So I was thinking that the boots would get in the way, but they won't because they shouldn't because the boots are after the quilting. So let's go ahead and keep this as it is right now and just see what happens. So I'm going to go, oh, you know what though, there's going to be, let me see. Yeah, there's default blues and oranges in the boots, and that's why I don't want to group it with the boots, because then it will group the boots, and we don't want that. We just want to group the quilting. So I'm going to go ahead and delete the boot stockings right here, this number 3 item. I'm going to go ahead, I'm on the second tab here. Actually, I was on the first, it doesn't matter which one. But on this I'm on Untitled 1, and I've got the 3rd item, the 3rd design, which is the boots, highlighted. I'm just going to click delete on my keyboard. All right. It's okay because I have them here, and we'll bring them back on over after we group our quilting, after we do our color sort. So on this first one, all we have is the Plant 7 quilting. Now notice that there are default blues and default oranges repeatedly. And if we were to just group it right now, it's going to join this default 1 blue with this default 1 blue, and it'll take away the purpose of them. The first one is the placement of our batting. The 3rd one right here, this default 1 blue, is the placement of our main fabric. We do not want those to join. We want those to be 2 separate items. And so the easy way to do that is to just change the color of it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. If you've been with me for a while, you've seen me do this a million times. It's very simple, very easy. All right, I'm going to go ahead and leave the default 1 blue and the default 2 orange, and I'm going to just change this next one, this number 3, so that it doesn't join. All right, so this one, I'm going to click on the color. And the first color that comes up for me is dark aqua. It doesn't matter what color you choose. It doesn't matter if yours come up as different colors. Just choose whatever color, as long as it's different than this default one, blue, then it won't join. All right, and then I have Filtech Glide as my default preference. That's why the colors come up as they do. You can use that as your preference if you prefer by changing the right here, preferred, go to preferred and click on the color, the thread that you want, but you don't have to, but then you'll see the same colors that I do if you choose. All right, so I'm going to click on the first one, which is dark aqua, and I'm going to say okay. And then same thing with this default 2 orange, it would join with this default 2 orange. So I'm going to click on the color, and then I'm going to click on the first color that comes up, which is blaze, and say okay. All right. Then the turquoise is the color of the quilting. So the color on the quilting is going to be different. So we want these not to join. So I'm going to go ahead and click on, I think I'll leave one turquoise and then I'll change it on this next one. So the only ones I changed are 3 and 4, dark aqua and blaze. All right, now I'm going to open up this second one. And I'm going to use the same color. So default 1 blue for 2-1 is the same as 1-1 here. And then 2-2 is default 2 orange, same thing, perfect. And then 1-3 I changed to dark aqua. So on 2-3 I want it to join. So I need to make sure it's the same color as I used before. So I'm going to click on the color and I'm going to choose dark aqua. Same as we did before right here. You can see it. 1-3 is dark aqua and now 2-3 is dark aqua. So 2-4, same thing. I'm going to click on the color, and the color we used, you can see it right here, was blaze. So I'm going to click on blaze. All right, and like I said, these are going to be different. We don't want these to be the same colors. One is on that cream colored fabric and one is on a green fabric. So I don't want those to join. So I kept the default 17 turquoise for the first one. For this one, I'm going to change the color. So I click on the color, and I'm going to choose the first color that comes up, which is Sprout. This is not changing the colors on your machine. It's just making it so that you can join the colors. All right, so those are done. That was, took a second, right? Super easy and super simple and fast. So I'm going to go ahead and go to utility color sort. Right now we have 10 color steps, and I'm going to go to utility color sort. And we've reduced it by 4. So I always click new view, no matter how simple it was, just to make sure that it's done the right thing. So click on new view, and it opens up a new tab. So now we're on Untitled 3, and notice everything's all in one step now. So if I open up that one step, we have one is the placement for the batting, and those are joined. You can see that they're joined perfectly. And then 1-2 is the tack down of the batting, and those are joined perfectly. And then 1-3 is the placement for our main fabric. Those are joined as dark aqua. And 1-4 is the tack down of the main fabric, and those are joined. And then we have the 2 quilting designs separate as I was hoping. So that all worked out exactly perfectly. So that's great. The only thing is now we don't have our boots. So we can go back to our Untitled 2 where we have our boots, and watch how easy this is. If I click on the boots and hit Control-C to copy and go back to our third tab, so that one that has our quilting already all joined, and then I hit Control-V to paste it, and let's see, helps if we're in here, Control-V, there we go. And it brings it right to exactly where it was. See how it's still perfectly centered within that box? That was so easy to do. So this is exactly how I wanted it. I wanted just the quilting to be joined together, and then it will move on to the boots after that. So this is exactly great. So I'm going to go ahead and say File, Save Stitch File, sorry. Save Stitch File As. And I'm going to go ahead and click on where I want to save it, which is in my Merry Christmas Y'all designs. All right, and I'm going to name it Boot and Filler Quilting So it's the boot and the filler block with the quilting for both. So that's, you can name it whatever will make you remember which design to pull up when you're ready. And then I'm going to say save. And I'm going to go ahead and send it to my machine. If you have a Brother Luminaire or a Baby Lock Solaris, there may be other machines that do this. I'm not sure, but I know for sure those two do it. And I go to Utility, Send to Solaris or XP1, and it automatically sends it to my machine. I can name it if I want. I don't need to. And file sent to the machine. If you don't have that feature, then you would just put a USB stick into your computer and drag it over or do a copy and paste or whatever to your USB stick from your computer. And Brilliance has done all the work for you. Now you just got to get it over to your machine. So super easy to be able to merge these together.